It's 3 committee meetings. They're run by the committee chairperson. We have a caucus meeting, which I will preside over, which normally is Phil Scott. He is out. I am his substitute. And then after that meeting, we have the council meeting. At the beginning of the council meeting, during that opening section, we have public comment. There's a public comment sign up over by that entry door. You do need to be signed up to get called. And with that, I will wait for 6:30 and our committee meetings to start.
All right, with that, it's 6:30, and I will open the the Employee Relations Committee. Take a quick roll call. Councilman Diaz.
Here.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Here.
Okay. So let's see. I'm just going to go ahead. Director May, why don't you just come on down and I'll just let you have the floor. How's that?
Sounds great.
Okay.
I haven't had to do this yet. Is the button?
Yeah, it's on. I think it's on.
It's on? Okay. All right. Well, good evening, Councilwoman Meyer and members of council. As Councilwoman Meyer stated, I'm here to talk about what's commonly called the personnel ordinance. So the version that you should have before you this evening, we'll go ahead and we'll start with the job classification pay grade increases. As per our ASME contract, you have a variety of job classifications in that contract. You also have 6 different pay grades represented by that contract. So in tonight's version, you will see 3 different job classifications that have an increase to their pay grade. Those classifications include our repairmen. Our repairmen right now, we have a total of 6. 5 of those are in our water repair, 1 in our sewer repair. The mechanics, we have 4 in our service complex, as well as 3 others, 2 in our fire department, 1 in our police department, and 1 body shop repair worker. Each of those job classifications, we are requesting to increase their pay grade by 1 grade. So in the instance of the mechanics and the body shop workers, to increase their pay grade from what is labeled a 15 at this time to that of a 16. In the case of our repairmen, to increase what is currently a 13 to what would be called a pay grade of a 14.
Okay, so could you and I spoke about this already. Could you give me, or could you let the rest of the committee know about the scenario that we talked about? We talked about the repairman being out on the job site.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So our repairmen right now, as I stated, they are a pay grade of 13. Now, repairmen, I think, is a very challenging position. They have a lot of responsibilities, but I'll give you one possible scenario. When a repairman is fixing, say, hypothetically, a pipe in the roadway, they would typically have to call in a mason to concrete and patch over that. However, by increasing this pay grade, it's going to put them on the same pay grade as that of a mason. Therefore, it's going to contractually make it much easier for them to go ahead and finish that job kind of in one fall swoop, making it simpler both for the city as well as for our citizens.
Councilwoman, can I just add real quick? I just want to say thanks to AFSME. We had this came out of a good dialogue at an LMC with them and just talking about how do we get those holes patched faster. And so I appreciate their leaders being willing to work with us on the MOU to get this done. And we're excited for what it can bring.
Did you use the acronym LMC?
Oh, sorry. Labor Management Committee. So we do that with each of our unions during non-negotiating time to just talk about issues that maybe both sides are having and how do we collectively solve them. And it's been very productive for us.
Thank you. Are there questions so far from the committee? No questions? No? Anyone on council have other questions?
Chairman
Okay.
Meyer.
Yes.
I have probably brought this up in the past because I've always had a hard time with changing the numbering system rather than changing the pay associated with the number. So you're bumping 15 to 16, 13 to 14. We just had a contract. I understand you're doing an MOU, but we just had a contract negotiation. I'm not sure why this wasn't hammered out in that version. One of the other concerns I always have is what about the current 16 and 14 job holders? All of a sudden, these people are now being bumped up. They've been waived, and now they can do concrete work and masonry work with a simple pay increase. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but that's kind of what I see. And if I'm a 16 job holder today, before this goes into effect, am I going to come in tomorrow to the LMC and say, hey, I have got these special skills and I think I should be a 17 or something along that line? I'm not sure why that doesn't open Pandora's box, so to speak, where you're happy for this guy because he's got bumped up, but then you're saying, wow, now he's equal to me. He wasn't yesterday. Maybe I should be bumped up. The other thing I noticed is on the 13 labor class, that group of workers, the laborer classification's an 11.
Yes, sir.
There's no 12. Right now, he could go for, the laborer could go from 11 to a 13, I'm sure, with education, time, and all that. And that would make sense. But that's 2 pay grade raises. And now you're stretching that even further. The 11 is going to go to a 14 because there is nothing in the middle. I mean, to me, its gyrations are getting wider, which may be okay on the one hand, but I know how some people learn faster and slower than others, and not to have a 12 and a 13 before the 14. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but it just seems like we're making it further and further apart. That my other concern about this, especially because it's done outside the labor negotiation, and we just had increased all the wages for all the pays. So they just got a pay increase. Now they're getting another one. This is like the secret extra pay raise. So it's like a 2 pay raise in 3 months. That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know. That's a lot of questions, a lot of commentary. I don't know if you've got any thoughts or concerns about all of that.
Well, if I kind of think on where to begin with all of that, the first thing I will stress when you're talking about the numbers, why does it say 13 or 14 or 15 or 16? That corresponds to the wage scale in the contract. So it has to state that number. It can't give a range like we do for our non-bargaining employees. It has to correspond with the contract. The ASME bargaining unit in and of itself, just as the mayor stated, this discussion was actually brought to us by the union as posing a solution in our labor management committee, which does occur outside of the formal negotiations as a way to keep open lines of communication between the city administration and the bargaining unit as a whole. In fact, the bargaining unit in themselves have already signed an MOU in favor of these changes that will be filed with CERB should this legislation pass this evening.
I would just add that in the contract before the one we recently passed, a lot of the different classifications were given raises or given bumps and steps, including laborer. One that was not was repair worker, and
Correct.
another was mechanics. And so especially on the mechanic side, from a competitive standpoint, for us to hire qualified people, we feel that is important. And, there have been instances, I know dispatch in recent memory got such an increase outside of a typical contract cycle. To me, we get constant complaints from residents saying, why are holes open in the road for so long? And we just we have a lot of masons and we have a lot of skilled mason work that they need to do. So this gives us the ability on the patches in the holes or the patches in the road to get that open more quickly so that people aren't seeing those sit there for weeks. I mean, we have a hardworking crew, but we do have to abide by the rules of the contract, and that's this is our proposal to fix that. And it also gave us a chance to get the mechanics into a more competitive rate.
And I will expand upon what the mayor stated, not in the current cycle that ASME is in, but in the contract prior to that, 51% of the bargaining unit received what's called a grade increase, which is what is being proposed here. That 51% did not include the mechanics, repair workers, or body shop workers.
Answer. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. I will say, I got one question. Next to, in parentheses, it has a number, and is that the number of masons and laborers that are currently assigned?
Do you have what section you're referring
Yeah,
to?
it's that position you're
Yeah.
talking about. It says repair worker, but there's no number like how many repair workers we have. Are the numbers in parentheses, I'm assuming that those are actual positions that for that job, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So for example, if you look at section 30, where you see water repair division, you will see repair worker parentheses 6. That's how many we are authorized to have. Does that mean that we have that many currently filled? No, we currently have 5 that are filled, but we are authorized to have 6. If you see no number next to it, that means we are only authorized to have 1. So for example, sewer repair, we are authorized to have 1 repair worker, and we have 1 repair worker.
Okay, and I think that's some of this to getting. I just wanted to point that out to make sure. It's been a while since I've seen some of this, so I wanted to make sure that you also understood that there is just maybe that 1 or 2 people. So adding this does add to that, and I think that helps a little bit to answer some of Councilman Falquette's question. It's not unusual either, coming from a labor side, to have labor committee meetings. A lot of times in contract negotiations that I have participated in, you will wait and have a labor management committee meeting on a certain area because you may hold up the contract on something that really isn't a piece for everyone. So that's really not unusual to have that done. I've seen that done. We did it at the police department on different times. It's like, look, we'll address that later with the MOU. And you did state that they voted on it, correct? Everyone voted on this change, you said?
So they don't, this is NASME's purview, they don't hold a vote, but it has been approved by their staff representative and their union president.
Okay, and that helps clarify that. Right now, it's all the questions I have. Maybe help add a little bit. Thank you.
Go ahead, Deborah. Thank you. 2 questions. One, I'm assuming the budget accommodates for the increases that this will be for the individuals affected?
That is my understanding.
It does. And there's no, this is going forward in the year. So there's nothing that's, going in arrears.
Okay. And then just to clarify, it looks like the maximum level position we have in here is a pay grade of 16 and the lowest is now an 11.
That is correct, Councilwoman Mount.
And there are 12s and 13s. They're just
Yeah.
in other departments.
Correct.
So not every department has one at each level.
We just no longer have pay grades of 1 through 10 at all in any department.
Correct. Yeah,
Correct.
that was eliminated in previous contracts.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Answer.
So not only going back to the fixing the holes and we're behind on that, this addresses being competitive in the workforce and maintaining these folks.
I certainly
also then
believe-
gives us the ability to get caught up on some of the issues we have that are lagging because we don't have enough personnel.
I believe so, Councilman Miranda, yes.
And I will note too, this is how it operated for a long time, the complex. And that was switched a couple cycles ago where the team went out and they did all of the forms of repair. So it's really returning us back to how they did it for a long time.
Anyone else on council have questions? My only question, I noticed there were a couple where the pay increases in fire, police, chief, assistant chiefs, those were going up. Those are within our budget?
Yeah, and those again are in relation to the recently settled contract. So,
Okay.
we waited. We did pass along the more typical increases this year, like all non-bargaining got, but we did want to wait and see where the contract settled out before we made final decisions. So,
And when will those go into effect?
we'll work on it over the next couple weeks, most likely. Yeah. We will be bringing the benefits ordinance to council too,
Okay.
probably either in the second half of May or beginning of June. And that we were kind of waiting for all of the contracts to settle. So we're going to align things across our bargaining units and our non-bargaining units with that.
Yes.
And also this, Mayor, and you could probably answer this, as far as the pay range increases, that doesn't mean that those positions automatically go to the high end. This is something to cover
Correct.
the percentages that were awarded already in the police and fire contracts to bring those, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We don't we are typically not at the top levels of those. So we always want to make sure that we're keeping ourselves some room. And I know in past, I'm trying to give us room so we're not having to come back every year for increases. So we have bumped those numbers up a little bit, and we've also been trailing the lower numbers just to make sure that we're not leaving them. Because when you hire for these positions, if as it was done in the past, if the low range is still at a very low range, it impacts who you're getting to apply.
Anyone else? Nope. All right. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll entertain a motion to close the employee relations.
Motion.
Second. All right. And at 6:46, I will open the Safety Committee meeting. We are going to be discussing several pieces of legislation, but let's start with Bill 26-82. This will be the fire prevention code that we're making some amendments to or changes to. So Chief, yep, we're got Chief Crow here with us. So you and I met and we discussed, but I'm just going to let you take the reins and
Yeah.
we'll just go right through it.
No, good evening, council. The intention of this legislation is to update our fire prevention codes relating to our permits and fees section. Mostly it's to eliminate some parts that are duplicative with other areas of our ordinances, such as the public assembly, both indoor and outdoor. Those currently aren't handled in the fire department. They're handled at the safety director's level, so having them in there is a little confusing. We also wanted to add some language that gives the safety director a little bit of leeway to determine if he would like to waive all or parts of some of the fees, especially if it's related to our schools or nonprofits or other community organizations that are holding events that are not generating a profit and are just for public benefit. It gives him the discretion to do that. Those particularly consist of fireworks and or having squads stand by for certain types of events. Another goal of this is to kind of simplify our fee structure for those events rather than having flat fees to base it on actual hourly rates of the people that are required to attend those. And then we eliminated an entire table there of permits that are what the fire code considers discretionary, which means a fire department like ours can or may implement those types of programs and permits. We currently don't implement any of those programs, so it's a little bit confusing when people, even our own guys, read that section of the code and they say, well, why aren't we permitting repair shops? And it's like, well, it's allowable by the fire code. We currently don't do that, so we should just eliminate those. And if we do in the future want to implement one of those programs, then we should come to council, explain the purpose of what that new program will be, and have you authorize it and establish a permit fee and all the other rules for it, rather than just having it sit in there and not really serve a purpose. So I think those were the main goals as we went through this round of review.
All right, does anyone on the committee have any questions? Any on council?
I just have one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thank you. So these are in line with any state requirements as well. So we're not violating anything that maybe the state would require of someone by removing these. It's just our municipal ones, correct?
No, yeah. So the ones that are required by the fire code is in table 1502.4.2. Those are required that we regulate those. We are keeping those. And then the ones that are listed as operational permits are the discretionary that we can remove.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much, Chief. And at 6:50, I will close the, oh, I'm sorry, no. I can't close the tape. Yeah, I've got to look up. Sorry about that. So we're going to bill 26-076. That's just a quick, many thanks to Mechanics Bank. They're going to be donating the $200 for our Bike-a-Palooza. So, and then 26-077 will be appointing members to the Police Review and Community Police Relations Commission. So we thank you to all of my colleagues sitting up here. We will be appointing 4 new members this evening to the first ward. Will be, and if you're here, kind of raise your hand when I call your name. The first ward will be Nikki Jaruta. Okay. And the second ward, Jason Taylor. 5th ward, Michelle Isaac. Okay. And the 6th ward, Sarah Hampton. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you all very much for being willing to serve. We certainly appreciate it. And then we'll get to that when we get into council. Okay. I think with that, I can close the safety committee at 6:51.
Thank you, Councilwoman Meyer. At this time, it's 6:50, and I would like to call the Claims Committee into session and roll Councilwoman Daly and Councilman Miranda.
Present.
All right, so we have 4 claims we're going to discuss here. Sorry, lots of paperwork. Give me a minute. And Tracy is here from the Law Director's Office as well.
Good
As
evening.
is Assistant Law Director Madden. So we're going to start out with the first claim. It's claim number 15-052025. Is there anyone here in reference to this claim? It's James Dillon. No, okay. Tracy, you want to?
Yes, thank you. This claim is regarding a sewer backup from the floor drain in a basement. The claimant or the applicant stated that 3 to 4 basement rooms had up to 4 inches deep of sewage backup. And he did have plumber's bills that he sent in that were actually paid. He does not have insurance to cover the sewer backup, as we have learned that most insurance companies will not cover groundwater claims to their homeowner's insurance. The amount of the claim is $1,775. The law director's office, in doing our investigation, did locate work orders pertaining to the issues at or near the claim address. I actually spoke with the sewer supervisor, Tracy Rannells, about the Shoal Road backups, and he is very well versed in that area. And one of the concerns that the claimant had was that he noticed about a week prior to his issue, he noticed that there was work being done on a manhole a few blocks down from his house. Supervisor Rannell told me that that was not related to his specific claim, that Mr. Rannells was very well versed and said that he believes that it was the sewer line that ran between the property of the claimant and his neighbor at 591 and 583 Shoal Road, and that it is a non-proprietary line, and that was blocked. A lateral line running between the 2 houses and not from the city line. So it was recommendation of the law director's office to deny the claim in the full amount of $1,775. $1,275.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone from the committee have any questions about this? Basically, they're stating that it was not a city line that was blocked. Any questions from the committee? Anyone from council? Okay, moving on.
Next one is claim number 28-102025 for Nick Godfrey. Mr. Godfrey here? Okay.
Hold up one second, Tracy, if you would. Interim President Falquette, do we need to do a motion to accept the law director's recommend?
I think you should. I think
Yes.
on each individual one, you should take a vote.
I got ahead of
So it's
myself.
official.
Sorry.
that- Yeah.
Okay, so in reference to claim number 15-052025, to deny the claims, do I have a motion on this to deny this claim? There's a motion to deny the claim based on the law director's recommendation. Do I have a second? It has been seconded. Now we can move on. Sorry about that.
My mistake as well, so thank you for that. Okay, the second one again is claim number 28-102025 for Nick Godfrey. This actually was another sewer backup into his rental property. And that rental property is located on Buckley Avenue, 283 Buckley Avenue. There was a city work order, and that the field notes on that work order state that the main was blocked and that it was flushed at 312 feet and cleared. Mr. Godfrey's claim amount is $1,827.12. However, the receipts that he submitted that were paid only total $1,627.12, where he's asking for an additional $200 towards his water bill. The law director's office, after doing our investigation, we recommend a settlement of the $1,627.12, the amount of the actual paid submitted receipts, and denying that additional $200.
Any questions from the committee members? Any questions from anyone on council or anyone else? Okay, I will take a motion that we approve the settlement in the amount of 16,020, or sorry, 16,000, listen to me, I'm just throwing money
That's
around
all
right
right.
now.
There you go.
$1,627.12 in the amount of the receipts that were submitted. So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second the motion to accept.
Second.
the resolution.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That one.
Thank you. The next one is claim number 30-110525 for Samantha Jo Henthorn. Samantha here? No, Samantha. Okay. Okay, this one is a water main break, and Miss Henthorn lives at 213 Pearl Avenue, which has quite a few problems with the water lines that they're trying to repair. Basically, there was a work order that the law director's office located that was dated 10/27, where the city repaired an 8-inch main, water main with an SS band, which I believe that is stainless steel band. Is that correct? Thank you. The owner called the complex again on 11/7, which is roughly a week later, stating that the line was leaking, flooded her basement the second time. The city reopened that work order and tightened that stainless steel band to correct the problem. Basically, the claimant submitted documentation. I should say that she submitted basically, let me get the name of the company so I don't get it wrong like I did last time. I believe it's the Basement Doctor. Yes, the Basement Doctor. And it was actually just a quote and not a paid receipt for repairs done to our basement. So she does have homeowner's insurance, but again, the homeowner's insurance does not cover groundwater losses. Their actual letter says that escape water from city water supply lines are considered groundwater and exclusion on your policy. So her homeowner's insurance did not cover it. She does not have any paid submitted receipts. The only thing that she submitted was the amount of people that worked with her to clean up the two water main breaks and the damage to her basement. And she submitted basically a total of 60 hours for 2 cleanups for backup into our basement. And I want to say this water line break, unfortunately, on her street was a large break. We viewed video and saw the actual water coming down the street, so it was extensive. So unfortunately, she did not have anything to put in other than the 60 hours. So it is the recommendation of the law director's office to pay the claimant a settlement amount of $1,500, which represents 60 hours of personal work time at $25 per hour for the output of that labor to clean up those 2 problems.
Is there any questions from the committee members in reference to this claim? Ms. Daly?
So I'm looking at it that when I look at the pictures, that her yard is torn up, so the city will be repairing that also.
Yes, that is an open work order.
Okay, just making sure. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Any other questions from committee or council? Ms. Mount, Councilman Mount?
Thank you. I don't have the same bundles. What was the estimate from the basement doctor?
If I remember, it's
Yeah, the total claim was
Yeah,
for over
fif-
$5,900.
$5,992,
Okay.
$5,992 for them to do the cleanup.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And I believe the law
Good
director's
question.
office did talk with her, and
Mhm.
she was I believe at the time, she seemed favorable toward what they were proposing.
Mhm.
Any additional questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we follow the law director's recommendation and paying a settlement of $1,500 in reference to this claim, move it forward to legislation.
I'll move forward with the motion to follow the law director's recommendation.
So Councilman Miranda seconding. All those in favor?
Aye.
That covers that. Okay, the last one here, and I believe we're actually caught up. We went through some back ones from 24, all of 25, and this is as of Thursday, we were caught up. So
Yes.
Tracy, if you'd like to go on.
It is my pleasure to, to say this last one. This claim is claim number 32-112425 for Alexa Mabry. Is Alexa here? No. Okay, thank you. This claim initial amount was $5,236. Her claim was that she stated that it was the 3rd incident and the 2nd time in the same spot among many damages and flooding caused to her basement. So I checked the claims master list, and there was no previous claims filed by Miss Mabry for the previous issues that she's had. But I did locate several service request and work orders at the claimant's address for mainline checks and leaks. Steve Brown, the supervisor at the service complex, stated that there's a large trunk in the area that feeds half of Mansfield, and that it has, his words were, monster pressure, and that unfortunately the city cannot control when that main breaks. So Miss Mabry lives adjacent to that monster line. She submitted 2 receipts, one for Menards for a replacement water heater and another one for Dave Cobb, who is at HVAC, and it was for a furnace control board. The total of those 2 receipts were for $997.93. The difference of that for the claim that Councilman Mount, is that the difference of that claim is that she also had a estimate from a cleanup for $42.92. That work was never completed or paid for. So it is the position of the law director's office to pay the claimant a reduced settlement amount of $997.93, representing the total of actual receipted damages that she submitted.
And if I see on here, she did not have insurance.
No, she does not carry
Um,
insurance.
So the recommendation is to cover those actual receipts that were submitted. Is there any questions from the committee on this? Anybody else from council? Ms. Mount?
What was the location again on this one?
287 Central Avenue.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess I just think that we might be setting a precedent here if we're paying out for things like this when it's not necessarily a controllable situation. So I'm not sure that I've heard the city paying for claims like this before. So I just wanted to at least raise that because I think, we have lots of water main breaks, hundreds a year. So if we're going to go down this, I do believe we are going to have a lot more claims. And I think council should think about that carefully.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Madden, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say that we do take these claims very seriously. We do an investigation for each individual claim. And so any recommendation we have is based on a fact-specific basis of what we think the liability very well could be if it came to litigation. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion that we follow the law director's direction and do a reduced settlement of $997.93 representing the actual receipted damages. We have a second, Ms. Daly. All those in favor? Ms. Daly, were you in favor of the motion? You say, I asked, is all in favor? Okay, we'll move on for city council to consider legislation on. That is the end of the claims committee, and I'll call a motion to adjourn here at 7:05. Seconded? I'll second it.
Thank
We're
you.
adjourned.
All right, at 7:05, I will call Mansfield City Council caucus meeting to order. Do we have any committee reports from council? Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few here this week coming up. We want to announce that this Saturday, I believe at 10 o'clock on the corner of Spring Mill and Bowman is going to be the annual dumpster day hosted by NECIC. It's a partnership with Earth Stewardship Program. The cool thing about this is you can bring anything except for things like tires and paints. Otherwise, it's a free service. Load up. And like I said, I'll be going on to about 1 o'clock. With the weather break, I did want to remind everyone about the Homeless Response Task Force. We tend to do that when we're seeing a lot more activity throughout the community. People think when you're unhoused or homeless, it's typically in a downtown area, and that's not the case. And the situation with the Homeless Response Task Force is it's a unique partnership with our police department and social workers at Catalyst, and they work hand in hand to identify if anyone is homeless or they need any support. So it's a great partnership, and we encourage the community to call the emergency police line if you do suspect someone is loitering somewhere or they're squatting in a house, commercial building, just to ensure that they're safe and everyone else is safe. And then the last announcement is something that I don't know if a lot of people know that, but every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is the AmeriCorps iConnect. It's a program offered for those 60 years old and above. Although if you're a little bit below 60, they'll still let you come. And they meet typically at Oasis of Love Church on Tuesdays and in the Friendly House on Wednesdays and Fridays. And what it entails is exercise, socialization. They do a lot of community outings, just everything. And as education on spam and telemarketers and stuff like that. So if you know anyone in your family or you yourself is interested, check it out. Again, that's the AmeriCorps iConnect program. And that concludes my announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz, for your timely community updates. Would the mayor like to address council?
Yes, sir. So before there's two things. First, I want to make sure we have a great crowd tonight, which is great. Saturday, May 9th, we have our annual Bike-a-Palooza event. Mansfield Police Community Policing Division heads that up with many community partners. They have dozens and dozens of bikes for children of all ages to give out. That's going to be taking place at North Lake Park from 10 to 2. So we need your help because we want to make sure that we're getting kids there. So I would ask folks, if you see it on Facebook, if you can share it, if you can share with families who have children that would be great recipients. They do a really great job with this every year. Kudos to police, also joined by fire and many other community agencies to put this all together. And then the second thing is I wanted to, obviously there's been a lot of conversation in the community over the past week about a potential economic development project. Typically, I'm not addressing it in this way, but I released a statement just before council. And so I wanted to just go ahead and read my statement so that everyone here is aware of what was released and where the city is at this point regarding that potential data center. So the city of Mansfield routinely works on potential projects with developers in many sectors, including industrial, commercial, residential, and technology. That process can span years or months as details are explored and refined before presenting a final proposal for consideration. In this case, the proposed data center project started as a concept with a much smaller scope. As the proposal evolved, it became significantly larger and more complex to consider. As that happened, we began engaging regional and state resources to assist. The project still had many important unanswered questions, which were essential to being able to consider it fully. We had made clear to Energy Acres that we needed further definition, coordination, and answers to key questions before taking any further steps. The developer moved forward with the public meeting last week without prior local coordination, and this made clear that we are not in alignment. And so we have communicated to them that we will no longer pursue this project. I don't take a decision like this lightly because I know that we need to continue to attract businesses, jobs, and new residents. Projects of this scale must be fully vetted as well as coordinated and aligned with the community before they can move forward. Ultimately, a development must work for the community, not just in the community. And so, I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware where that is standing right now. At any point in time, we are talking to lots of developers, and we take that very seriously to make sure that we're finding good partners and we're bringing quality developments into the city of Mansfield. So thanks to everyone who reached out. I know council folks received a lot of feedback and many others. And I will be following up with all the emails and the phone calls that I got as well. But I wanted to make sure that the statement got out to everyone at once. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Andrews, anything this evening?
As the weather's warming up, we're starting to do some more projects outdoors with renovations at the parks. We're continually looking at getting the dam repaired at Liberty Park. So we hope to finish up those dam repairs this week. The other thing that we're looking at is we have a new vac truck that we're leasing for 5 years. And that's significant because it helps us with the sewer repairs and backing out those lines. And this truck has a lot more capability and dependability than our other unit did. So this is going to make us more efficient, be able to do things more quickly and more efficiently. The other thing we're working on is completion of the water plant project that we started. Some of the things we're working on right now, we're looking at renovating and reconditioning 3 of our wells, and we hope to have those completed by June. And that's essential, making sure that we have good, dependable water sources when we need those. Some of the other things that we're looking at is we have several positions open. We have seasonal positions open in the parks and in codes and permits. We also have several positions open in our complex as well. So if someone is interested in working with the city, please go to our website and look at those opportunities for employment. That's all I have. Thank you.
Director Porch?
Yes, just a couple things. The fire department finally received their new hazmat spill truck. They have sent that off to be marked, to be schemed for the Mansfield Fire Department. The chief expects to have that in service in May. So that old hazmat truck will be put out of service. Obviously, it had a lot of years on it, and looking forward to having modern, up-to-date equipment for the fire department for this use. So I know the chief's excited to have it. The police department, they finished up the assessment through accreditation 2 weeks ago. The mayor sat down with the assessor for an exit interview. The police department chose 3 focus areas through accreditation: was internal affairs, use of force, and our public communications center. So that when the assessors arrive to the police department, they take extra care and pay particular attention to those areas. So I'm proud to report to council that 0 findings were found throughout the accreditation process, especially in those 3 areas of focus. Although the assessor could not inform the mayor that the police department will be reaccredited, because that reaccreditation will take place with the police department out in Omaha, Nebraska in July. So that's when the chief and the command staff will go in front of the commission for the final determination if they'll receive reaccreditation. But I have no doubt that they will definitely succeed in that. And it's important to note that only 5% of law enforcement agencies in this country have accreditation, and Mansfield Police is one. So we should be very proud of that fact. So that's all I have.
Well, congratulations on the current progress. And do you think the fire department might show off their new vehicle at a prior to a council meeting in the future?
Yeah, we'll have them throw out some gas on the road, and we'll get the hazmat truck going, and the chief will put on a demonstration.
All right, sounds good. Director Converse?
Thank you. We're very happy to be on the other side of tax day. And I think we managed traffic a lot better this year than we did in previous years. It was nice to have the first floor open. We didn't have many taxpayers who were complaining about the process and having to wait, those who decided to come at the last minute. I do have some numbers for you preliminarily about the first part of revenue. So income tax revenue overall is 1% up as compared to this point last year, but that's because of the water main tax. When you take out the water main tax, we're actually 2% less than year over year, but we are at 30% of what we've estimated. So from a budgetary standpoint, we're doing well. Water revenue is at 24% of the budget, but it is 1% down over this point last year. Sewer revenue, on the other hand, is at 26% of budget and 4% up over last year. So that's a better, more welcome trend in sewer. Again, water seems to be still located in commercial accounts, and I know we're still reviewing that, but haven't found anything that is out of the ordinary. I know the mayor's working group has been really diligently looking into the causes of the decrease and have found valid concerns or valid reasoning for the decreases on all of those accounts so far. That's all I have.
Thank you, Director. And Assistant Law Director Madden?
No updates from the law director's office this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. We'll now proceed with legislation. First up, Councilwoman Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move that we bring 26074 to the floor to be read, placed upon the floor for discussion. Oh,
That's in the next part.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you just introduce it. Tell us what it's
I'm
about.
just telling you what it's about. I apologize. This is a long day. Yes. This is authorizing Public Works Director to accept the appropriate donation in the amount of $4,300 from the Mansfield Rotary Club Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
Are there any questions? Of course, we thank the Rotary Club for their donation. And Public Works Director's got plans for this?
Yeah, the Rotary Club has been very helpful in helping us with the dog park at Sturkle Park. And so this is to provide an ADA walkway to the dog park area.
Thank you. Ms. Davis, you have the next one.
Thank you. At this time, I'm sorry. Okay. This is authorizing Public Works to also accept an appropriate grant in the amount of $14,000 $14,468,000 from the from the Richland Public Health and declaring an emergency.
Does anyone have any question or comment on that, including the Public Works Director, on where he may spend that money?
That money is going to be used at Prospect Park for new basketball goals. We had it paved, and we also had it striped earlier this week. So the goals would actually make that a new basketball court there.
Any other questions or comments from council? Mrs. Meyer, you're up next.
Thank you, sir. 26-076, as discussed in committee, will be authorizing the Safety Service Director to accept and appropriate a donation in the amount of $200 from Mechanics Bank to be used for Bike-a-Palooza. Thank you very much to Mechanics. And 26-077 will be appointing the members to the Police Review and Community Police Relations Commission. Set appointments to be effective immediately. And once again, thank you all for being willing to step up.
And I think the previous Bike-a-Palooza donations can be used for purchase of bicycles or support items for the Bike-a-Palooza event. Anyone on council have questions on the previous two items? All right. I'm up next on 26078. This is appointing Jessica Gribben to the Downtown Improvement Advisory Board commencing July 1st. Any questions there? All right. Mrs. Meyer, you're up again.
Thank you, sir. 26-079, as discussed in our Employee Relations Committee, adopting personnel positions, pay grades, and salaries for certain employees of the City of Mansfield 2026 payroll year.
Any questions on that one? All right, I'm up next. We've got the mayor and the Public Works Director entering into a community reinvestment agreement. And the following one, 26081, is related to that with the Mansfield Forward Fund, developing a project at the 116 Park Avenue West. We did not have a committee meeting on this, but if anyone has questions, we are graced tonight with several key players with that project. Barrett, who's usually in the middle of all economic development, Mr. Jay Goyle, and Mr. Dave, I hope I'm right, Eichinger. All right, they're all here. If you have any questions or comments on that project, it's gotten some nice press recently. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Council President. I have a question as far as goes. How soon do you think you would get started on? I mean, what's the earliest do you think, or do you get started? Should everything fall into place on this?
Yep, come on up, gentlemen.
We would anticipate, I would say, probably in August or September, beginning renovations, assuming everything happens that still needs to happen.
That answered my question. Thank you.
Mr. Diaz.
For those who aren't here, we're talking about the hotel development, the former Holiday Inn, and we're excited. I mean, that's been an area that has had a lot of like question marks above it, and with everything happening with the expansion of downtown, I just applaud you guys for really investing in that entire structure. And I remember what it was in its heyday. I think you're going to elevate it. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Mrs. Meyer.
Jay, thank you for being here. You and I spoke, and I just wanted to publicly say I'm fully in support of the project. I trust that your group is going to do, make it even better than what it was before. So thank you for taking the time and the energy and investing in our city. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else on council? Mr. Miranda.
So expected start time, August, September, completion time?
We're hoping to be ready to have a grand opening late May, early June of 2027.
And on that note, again, to Mayor, really appreciate what your group has put together. The Mansfield area does not have a good hotel solution, and that's quite the building. So I'm very pleased and excited of what the energy you're going to bring in and bring back to Mansfield.
Thank you.
Anyone? Yes.
I have to say something. When I just moved here, our furniture didn't arrive, so my husband's company at the time put us up at that hotel, and we did enjoy staying there when it was Holiday Inn. That was like 2006, so it was really nice then. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks. I mean, this is a good example of a positive project that they have been working on, and we've been talking to them for quite some time. I see Snehal is here as well. And I know, that Jay has really put a lot of work into getting local investors behind the project. This is something that our community has needed for a while, is a downtown hotel that is in good shape and that people want to stay at. So, I just wanted to add my thanks. I think we've got some really good momentum now with a lot of the projects that are currently in the works. So thanks again for you both stepping up and all of your investors.
Thank you.
Anyone else? You want to go again?
Yeah, I think it's fitting too because it's right beside the Renaissance. So, yeah.
Can you bring it back to Murphy's Lounge?
So I've heard stories about Murphy's Lounge. I myself haven't experienced it, but we do plan on eventually reactivating all of the spaces within the hotel. Yeah.
And I guess I too will close up with, I was very happy to see the who's who of local investors that were involved, which I think is really important for our particular community. If that's all, go ahead.
I want to echo a lot of what everyone said, but also, Mansfield, I've been here my entire life pretty much. And remember downtown when our parents would be like, no, you're not taking your skateboard down there and running, anywhere near downtown. And I'd get chased out of the parking garage by the police because I shouldn't have been in there skateboarding. And, you see, with the start of the Carousel District, and that really started to change downtown. And now you see what's going on. We've cleaned up a lot of vacant houses around town, and then we refocused with Rising, Mansfield Rising. And then you start seeing our local people, like the mayor said, and many others here that take that investment, like the Ferniacs, and now you. And that brings me a lot of joy. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate
investing.
that. Thank you. And as as mentioned, it certainly isn't just me. We've got a great team. Snehal's my partner in this. He's the one who brings the operating experience for the hospitality portion, and we have a great group of local investors who are fully behind us. So we're excited about that as well.
All right. Oh, Ms. Mount.
Thank you. It's hard to add to what everybody else has said, but thank you for saving a building that was at that point that we can still hopefully save it. So often the buildings around here get to that point, they have to be torn down, which is a huge expense, and then an empty space where there had been something worthwhile. So I'm so happy to see somebody saving a building when it was just barely in the nick of time.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Weiss Davis.
And I didn't want to belabor it. That's why I thought everybody was commenting, but I do want to thank you very much. One of the things that I definitely like to see is when we have someone like you who has been a phenomenal superstar, done stuff in the State House, and then continuously bringing things back that bring value to the city. We appreciate that and your team all the way around. So thank you for the work on this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. We'll excuse you now. Thank you for coming
Thank you.
forward. Yeah. All right. Mrs.
you.
Meyer, 082.
26-8082, amending and as we talked about in the safety committee, amending and enacting chapters 1502 of the Mansfield Codified Ordinances of 1997 concerning the Mansfield Fire Prevention Code. And I would like to move this forward, make a motion to move it forward.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to eliminate all further readings of 26082 and move it forward for final consideration this evening. Do you have that magic one? All right. It'll be up before us in just a moment, if there's a moment for any question. And then we'll vote. Yeah, push the button. There you go. 8-0 passes. We'll vote on that this evening. The final one this evening is mine, 26083. This is ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan. We have some money that left over, change, so to speak, but big money. $104,250.17. That money is being requested to direct towards the Westinghouse Arch, which I believe is some architectural feature for historical significance. Blair is here this evening to talk about that. And the second half of this is $372,429.18 to go towards the Wayfinder project, a project which we've already have some funding going towards that. Does anyone have any questions for Blair about the arch? Somebody ask him something, because I'm sure he's got a picture. Mr. Miranda?
What are some of the timelines on it?
Yeah, so we're a little constrained with the Westinghouse party. I think it's the Westinghouse party that's going to be happening. So we're being mindful of that. We don't want to, the site is nice and seated and green. We don't want to start construction on the side of that, create a money mess. So we would be starting at this point after that party is completed. So
Do you have an approximate calendar day, month, season?
No, we don't have a signed agreement with it's WR Restoration is the company that's been approved by the land bank to do the work. We don't have a signed agreement yet because we didn't have full funding yet. So
Okay. All right. And we're all cognizant of extreme time constraints on this fund.
Yeah, everything still has to be spent by the end of this year. And the restrictions from the Department of Treasury were that we could only move money to projects that had been previously voted on and awarded. So technically, this contract is with the Richland County Land Bank. So this gets them to being able to be at a point, I think you'll be able to move forward, I
Yes.
think, with a little more.
yes,
Yeah,
and
so.
the construction of the doorway itself is fairly simple. So it's going to be a concrete masonry wall, cinder blocks, with a veneer of brick, and then reuse of in the photo I've got. You can see kind of the square rectangle details with the arrows, and then the doorway itself. Those will all be reused pieces from the original doorway that was deconstructed during the demolition of the A building. So, yeah, it should be a pretty quick project. It's not very big. It's about 29 feet by 19 feet. So 29 feet wide, 19 feet tall. So.
Okay. Mrs. Meyer?
This kind of, I mean, when this was deconstructed, like, just how many pieces is this in at this point? I'm just kind of curious.
It is in just under 40 pieces. It looks like 38. So we are going to be able to reuse all original pieces except for the base stones. Those will have to be reconstructed. They were too damaged just based off of water and salt. The proximity to the road really did a number on them. So,
All right. Anyone else? You can give us an update when you know more, and we can put a picture up on the screen next time.
Sure.
All right.
Alrighty.
Any questions on the Wayfinder segment?
I do
Madam
think
Mayor,
Miles-
do you want to just interject?
I just was going to say he can give you a brief update. So they have been working. Of course, we had previously approved $500,000 of ARPA funds to this project. And anyone who's done construction knows when you get into the middle of a project, they did have some more remediation that they had to do in order to move forward. So I'll hand it to Miles.
Yeah, so overall, project is going well. Thank you again for allowing me to be here. Just kind of typed up a quick one-page document with some photos so you all could see the progress. Again, project overall is going well. As the mayor mentioned, we did have some unexpected costs there, which I've listed. All of those change orders have been approved. Everything that's italicized is related strictly to mold damage. So upon receiving the property, we knew that the mold damage was going to be there. We didn't realize quite how significant that was going to be. So once we kind of got into it, it was a little bit more than we initially planned. Really, we've done everything the absolute right way. So we're certainly mindful of the all-in expenses, but want to make sure that we're making this a building to be in for many years to come. So that included some damp proofing. We now have some sub pumps that are installed. You can see on the back of the photos there. One of the photos actually shows the conduit that was totally rusted away just because, again, of the mold damage. So the other outstanding issue that we had was some asbestos abatement that we were initially not aware of. That has since been remedied as well. So you can see there the total unexpected costs. The accrued expenses to date are just over $1 million, and this initial $2.2 to $2.3 million project is now approaching 2.8. But as the mayor mentioned, that I think is kind of par for the course. So I'm more than happy to take any questions. Actually, if you drove by today, you would see that the balcony out front is totally down. So the balcony there and the artist's rendered drawing on the front has since been removed. That was structurally unsafe, and so we again want to do it the right way. We've completely torn that down, and we'll be rebuilding that as well.
Questions, Miss Mount?
Thank you. You still on target to be able to finish this by December of this year?
Yep. So contractually, the contractor must be done by October 25th of this year. He's still planning for the second week of September. So.
Very good.
Yep.
More hands up, Mr. Diaz.
Miles, just thank you. This has been your life. You've been nonstop doing this, and I know you're being bombarded with people asking you the progress of Wayfinders, and it's unfortunate we have to expand to house this growing need, but that's the reality of it. But I just want to thank you. I know your team, and I think this is exciting, and just a good job.
Thank you. So we saw a record high last year in terms of shelter numbers. We saw 650 individuals. Looking at annualized numbers through 26, we're on pace to see 792. So to your point, the need is unfortunately growing.
And real quick, the housing capability on a day when it's all done, how many people can you hold in here?
Yep. So in our current
Groups?
shelter, 58.
Okay.
In about a 4,700 square foot building with a basement. This will allow 78 to 80 in an almost 13,000 square foot space.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes the caucus, unless something comes up. I'll make a motion to close. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're closed 7:37. At 7:38, I'll now open Mansfield City Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a quick comment. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we ask that you look over our proceedings this evening, give us guidance and wisdom. Please bless our city and take care to watch over our safety service forces. Amen. Clerk will now call the roll.
Mr. Miranda,
Present.
Mrs. Meyer,
Present.
Mrs. Davis Weiss,
Present.
Miss Daly,
Present.
Mr. Diaz,
Here?
Miss Mount,
Here.
Miss Robertson,
Here.
Mr. Falkut,
Here.
President Scott.
Make a motion that Mr. Scott be excused.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we excuse Mr. Scott from tonight's meeting. All those, please vote. Passes 8-0. All right. Unless there's an objection, the reading of the journal and correspondence will be dispensed with. We do have late bills. Ms. Weiss?
I apologize.
Miss Daly. My apologies, Miss Daly.
I move with, thank you, Mr. President. I move with respect to Bill 26-076, 26-078, 26-080, 26-081, and 26-083, that the rules requiring legislation be submitted by Monday at 4 p.m. be suspended, and that Bill 26-076, 26-078, 26-080, 26-081, and 26-083 be allowed on the floor this evening.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to allow several bills on the floor this evening. We'll cast a vote on that.
Suspension of the rules.
Hang on.
Oh.
We got it. Got a vote. Passes 8-0. Those bills will be allowed on the floor this evening. All right, let's suspend some rules.
Okay. I move with respect to all bills that come before council this evening that the rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended, and that each bill be read one time by title only.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we suspend the reading 3 separate times and that we just read the titles only. If there's no counter question, we can go ahead and vote. Passes 8-0. All right. Now, it's time for public comment. All right. Sherry Ramsey's up first. This evening, what we do, as we've always done, we have the speakers are called. They state their name and their address. They have up to 3 minutes to discuss what's on their mind. Also, just for comment, for a lot of new faces in here, there's generally no interaction between the council or the staff or anything up here. You just get to state your case. We've got your address here. And if there's follow-up needed, it will probably happen at a later time. So, Ms. Ramsey?
Yes, my name is Sherry Ramsey, 9 Pinewood Drive, Shelby, Ohio. And I have been working with the group that's been outside today. This planning to come up here and speak was a decision we made before we heard what you had said, but we also feel like we need to kind of continue to move forward a little just because you never know. And I would like to speak when it comes to like health problems that this place could cause. I know I personally have a child with severe asthma. We've been hospitalized multiple times in Akron. And his pulmonary specialist has stated that environmental things like when the wildfires, the smoke, anything that's outside the norm can make it worse. And I know there's a lot of people with breathing issues of many different things, and that could make it worse. And I know most of the time when things like this come across, the special needs community is not looked at. They're just not even considered in projects like this. And I know even something as seemingly insignificant as the noise level I know kids with sensory issues, adults with sensory issues, especially those on the spectrum, that the noise would be a huge trigger for them. And I just am worried that if this does go through, even if it doesn't happen in Mansfield, that it could really cause some major health issues for people and some other ones that we don't always look at. And that's all.
Thank you. All right. Pamela Taylor.
My name is Pamela Taylor. I live at 2515 Anteelburg Road, just north of town by pretty close to Oldsburg General Store. And I just want to start by closing my eyes and asking God to lead me in what I'm going to say to you, because I represent a team. It's not just my voice, it is their voice that I'm representing here tonight. It's a team of the people that are outside. You probably saw them when you came in tonight. We'll let you know if you haven't signed the ballot or the petition. It's not a ballot, it's a petition that we are from the state of Ohio. We are going to continue to move forth with that. And if you want to contact any of us, I know your meeting's going to be too long tonight, but please reach out and we will come to you if necessary that you can sign that petition. I want to thank you all for everything that you do. And I have the utmost respect and esteem for you. Thank you, Mayor, for your announcement this evening. It has been well received. My topic, she talked about air, she talked about noise. That was brief, but it was very well spoken. Thank you. I want to talk about the water. When they build a data center, no matter how big it is, how small it is, they use a tremendous amount of water. And I'm not going to go back to where I was going to talk about where they were going to tap into for that source, because this may not even occur. But if for the future knowledge, people on my team would like you to know that they are concerned with the amount of water that would be used, especially those of us who live in the area who have wells. If we look into the research of data centers in other areas, it can actually affect wells within a 10 to 15 mile range. There's a lady that speaks that her water is now the color of milk. They can't drink it. She spent thousands of dollars. She can't drink her water. Wells actually have to be redug. They have to be redone. Our aquifer, if you wait, and you guys, about if they would get into your water system here. But the one thing I wanted to bring up too is that there was a lady on our team that brought up something I didn't know. Did you know that when they use the water to cool those data centers, it's not just plain water. There's a chemical that's added in and other additives into that water. One is called ethylene glycol. It's ETHYLENE, second word, GLYCOL. It is actually a part of a composition of antifreeze. Now, just imagine if we have something like that and they're using this immense amount of water and we get a leak. Am I on time?
30 seconds to go.
Just imagine if there's a spillover and it gets into our aquifers, if it gets into the system. We have to make sure that we protect our water source. It is absolutely precious. And they also want to ask if something would happen, if our water then would run low, what are we going to do? And if people get sick from it, who will be responsible? Will the companies that possibly will come into our area or into the state be responsible to help those that become ill
Thank you,
or have
Mrs.
other
Taylor.
things occur? I thank you for your time. Thank you for helping me.
No problem. Tammy McQuillan.
Well, I can make this brief since this has pretty much been
Miss
dealt with.
McQuillan, if you could start with your name and address.
I'm sorry. Tammy McQuillan, 1680 Executive Court, Apartment 118, Mansfield, Ohio. And again, I can make this short since this has kind of been dealt with. And I appreciate Councilman Aurelius taking the lead on this and addressing people's concern. I appreciate our mayor coming out with a strong statement. I kind of knew that Mr. Cutter was kind of full of it when he was making his presentation. And I'm very glad that our mayor kind of shot him down. what I would like to see our council consider on this issue is a possible moratorium, so that this issue can be studied more, the effects, economic advantages, so on and so forth. Some communities have already instituted moratoriums like Sunbury, Kent, Jerome Township in Union County, Monroe Township in Adams County, and a couple have even done temporary bans. So I'd like to see us consider that because there's still concern that this issue isn't done with. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McQuillan. Tim Goff, I hope. Tim? If I'm pronouncing your last name wrong, it's Gough.
Oh, no, I don't have anything.
All right. Well, thanks for coming tonight. I'm glad to see you. All right. Jeff Willis.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for your time. I'm here to...
Mr. Willis?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Willis, 709 Wallace Road. I'm here to speak about the Buc-ee's expansion, the annexation. I wanted to thank the mayor for your statement on the data center. That's a very analogous thing to what we're dealing with the Buc-ee's thing. I'm just asking for equal consideration. I really appreciated a lot of the things you said in that statement. So I grew up here. I am concerned about the water out there. I basically just have a set of questions that are regarding the wetlands out there. In a prior meeting, it was stated that the 401 or 404 EPA permit will be not sought by the company. I've spoke with people from the EPA, and they said that there's no permit in the works. I also spoke to some people from the Army Corps, and they said that there's a redetermination on the wetlands. And so I guess I'm having a hard time understanding how that's going to be changed, annexed, the zoning change, because I'm not at all aware of some of these things. I'm a complete greenhorn when it comes to, these topics, but I don't understand how zoning can change with the wetlands and have that permit not be pulled. According to what I've researched, it says that that's a necessary thing. It kicks off a whole protocol for what's called Nexus Federal Guidelines, survey and study of the area that determines the viability. So I guess my question is, why would that land why would the wetlands be redetermined, or why is there a redetermination there when no drainage has changed, the soil is the same? That's very linked to our water supply. We're all on wells out there. We're all very concerned about the well water also. And so I guess additional questions, the Zimmer property that's across the way there, it seems as if that's already been annexed. I don't own any of those properties, but I'm just wondering why that's not up for consideration, because that's also seeming like it's going to go to the same zoning. It's already annexed, and it would save the city a lot of money not running services to the other side of the highway. That's a big question I have. I know I'm not the property owner. So I have a question of when we get to see engineered plans on how this is going to aid.
About 30 seconds.
Okay. Thank you for that. According to my research, Buc-ee's uses about 37 gallons a day, or 37,000 gallons a day water. I don't think any of those questions have been answered. The representative was here last week. He just said he's working with ODOT and the EPA and such. I feel like the residents of the area would really benefit from seeing some of those engineered plans so we can understand how that's not going to affect our resources.
Okay.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. That's our concluding comment this evening. Committee reports. The mayor.
I did forget one thing. I
All
just
right.
wanted to say the State of the City address will be next Tuesday, right back here at 7:00. There will be a live stream on Facebook, but you are also welcome to come in person. We have a short video to kind of recap the year, and then there'll be a conversation for about 30 minutes led by Carl Hunnell and talking about all the things that are happening in the city. So wanted to make sure everyone is aware.
Director Andrus, Director Porch, Director Converse, Assistant Law Director. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. All right. Let's see here. Proceed with legislation. Mrs. Robertson, you're up first. This was the one we tabled last time, 26052.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask Adrian to go ahead and step up in case there's any discussion. This is in reference, I move that Bill 26-052 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. The clerk can now read 26052.
Authorizing the mayor to submit an annual action plan for PY 2026, indicating proposed uses for the city's 2026 Community Development Block Grant Funds under the provisions of Public Law 93-383 as amended and declaring an emergency.
Do we have question or comments for Ms. Ackerman? Gonna let her off easy? She'll be happy with that.
Thanks, Adrian.
All right. I would like to make a motion that myself and Ms. Davis-Weiss be allowed to abstain from the vote.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to allow the abstention by Councilman Falquette and Davis-Weiss. Passes. All right. So we'll be abstaining. Ms. Robertson,
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Bill 26-052 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
second. All right. It's been moved and seconded.
Councilman, Adrian is.
Yeah, I need to abstain. So, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know. I was like, wait a minute. I knew I had to. So, yeah.
All right.
We don't want that in headlines.
Sorry. We'll amend the
Why?
and add a real. Can we do a quick one?
So I make a motion that we amend the previous vote.
We just add him on to a brand new one. Just the way
Okay.
just the way it's done. That one's over with. We need a new motion to allow Councilman Diaz to abstain.
I make a motion that we allow Councilman Aurelio Diaz to abstain.
Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. We're going to take a roll call vote when you can say. No, that's for the thing. We got a roll call vote, Diaz.
Right.
Miss Robinson? We're voting on whether or not he
Yes.
can abstain. Yes. I'm a yes. Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
No. Yes.
Ms. DeWeese?
Yes.
Ms. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz? Yeah, you're a yes here. And and Miss Mount?
Yes.
All right. So 3 of us got to abstain. And now, if there's no further question, comment, or discussion, we can now cast our votes for the mayor's plan. It passes 5 yeses, 0 nos, 3 abstentions. Think we meet the minimum requirements? All right. That one's finally done. All right. Ms. Davis-Weiss, you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move that Bill 26074 be placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk will now read Bill 26074.
Authorizing the Public Works Director to accept and appropriate a donation in the amount of $4,300 from the Mansfield Rotary Club FNDT Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Davis.
Yes. At this time, I move that Bill 26074 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast a vote for final passage on 26074. Passes 8-0. Ms. Weiss, 26075.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move that Bill 26075 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk will now read 26-075.
Authorizing the Public Works Director to accept and appropriate a grant in the amount of $14,468 from Richland Public Health and declaring an emergency.
Questions or comments? Ms. Davis Weiss.
Thank you. I move that Bill 26075 be placed upon the floor for final passage at this time.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast your votes for 26075. Passes 8-0. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 26-076 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk will now read 26076.
Authorizing the Safety Service Director to accept and appropriate a donation in the amount of $200 from Mechanics Bank to be used for Bike-a-Palooza and declaring an emergency.
Questions and comments? Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 26-076 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast your vote. 26076. Passes 8-0. Mrs. Meyer, 26077.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 26-077 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk may now read 26077.
Appointing members to the Police Review and Community Police Relations Commission and appointments to be effective immediately and declaring an emergency.
Questions or comments? Ms. Robinson.
I just want to thank those who stepped up and chose to serve on this board. It can be, it's a voluntary position. It can be time consuming. And you got a great leader up there that if you need some experience, is see Tammy. But I just want to thank you for doing this service to our community.
Mr. Diaz.
I definitely want to echo that. It's a I think huge honor to be on. I wish more people were interested in it. And obviously you care a whole lot, and definitely look to Tammy. I mean, she's holding it down over there. And I know just on on a Ward 5 level, I know it's been really hard to identify people who were either interested. And so thank you for stepping up, Michelle. I'm really appreciative of that.
Yes.
And Ward 3, the place to be. I definitely have to definitely have to shout out Tammy, the neighbor and leader of this. Thank you so much. And even helping with other wards be able to find people. So we truly appreciate. Thank you guys for stepping up. This is amazing. So we appreciate you so much.
Ms. Mount.
Just wanted to say thank you to Sarah. It was a little bit of a challenge with Ward 6 back and forth, but when she expressed interest, it was right away. So thank you for answering that call.
I'm glad to be here.
Anyone else? All right, Mrs. Meyer.
All right. So I now, let's see, I move that Bill 26-077 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast your vote on 2677.
Bless you.
Passes 8-0. I've got 2678. I move that Bill 26078 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk will now read Bill 26078.
Appointing the following member to the Downtown Improvement Advisory Board for a term commencing July 1st, 2026 and declaring an emergency.
Questions or comments? Maybe everybody knows Ms. Gribben's been recently appointed the president of the Chamber of Commerce. So we're glad to have her involved in a lot of different committees around here. If there's nothing else, I move that Bill 26078 be placed upon the floor for final consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast your vote for 26078. Passes 8-0. Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. As discussed in employee ratio, nope. I move that 26-079 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. The clerk may now read 26079.
Adopting personnel positions, pay grades, and salaries for certain employees of the City of Mansfield 2026 payroll year and declaring an emergency.
Questions and comments? Hearing none. Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 26-079 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast your vote. Bill 26079. Passes 8-0. 26080. I move that Bill 26080 be read and placed upon the floor for consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk will now read Bill 26-080.
Authorizing the mayor and the Public Works Director to enter into a community reinvestment area agreement with Park Hospitality, LLC, and Ohio Limited Liability Company, its successors, assigns, and affiliates for their planned project adding housing, commercial space, and retail space in the city of Mansfield and declaring an emergency.
Questions, comments? Thank you, gentlemen, for coming this evening. I move that Bill 26080 be put upon the floor for final vote.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Please cast your vote. 26080. Passes 8-0. 26081. I move that Bill 26081 be read and placed upon the floor for consideration and discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk will now read Bill 26081.
An ordinance authorizing a development agreement with the Mansfield Forward Fund, LLC, an Ohio Limited Liability Company, its successors, assigns, and affiliates, providing for a project to redevelop a historically significant hotel property located at 116 Park Avenue West, Mansfield, Ohio, 44902, and declaring an emergency.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, I move that Bill 26081 be placed upon the floor for final vote.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast your ballot. Passes 8-0. 26082, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 26-082 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk may now read Bill 26-082.
Amending and enacting chapters 1502 of the Mansfield Codified Ordinances of 1997 concerning the Mansfield Fire Prevention Code.
Questions or comments? I guess the chief left. I was going to thank him for cleaning this up. Anybody else? You'll tell him. Great. All right. I move that Bill 26080. That one's yours. That one's yours. I'm trying to get to the end. I got the last one. You go ahead, Mrs. Meyer.
I move that Bill 26-082 be read to be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast your vote on 26.82. Passes 8-0. I get to mine now again. 26083. I move that it be read and placed upon the floor for consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk may now read Bill 26083.
Reallocate unused American Rescue Plan funds within previously approved projects in accordance with requirements of the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA, and an applicable regulations.
Questions and comments? I move that Bill 26083 be placed upon the floor for final consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please cast your vote on Bill 26083. Passes 8-0. Is there anything else to come before City Council this evening?
I move that we adjourn.
I second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:09 p.m. Thank you very much for your attendance this evening.